Hello and welcome to the introduction for this course. What you should know before you take the course. You should have a basic working knowledge of a computer. You should also have a basic working knowledge of using the internet. Who should take the course? Hello and welcome to this video on what is Python. Python is a general purpose programming language. This means it can be used to write computer programs for various things like games, data science, websites, and so on. Python is also a high-level programming language. High-level programming languages mean that the languages of writing computer instructions in a way that is easily understandable and close to human language. Python is portable, which means we can run Python programs in the various different operating systems like Windows, Mac OS, Linux without any change. Python is an interpreted language. Python is called an interpreted language because it goes through an interpreter which turns code you write into the language understood by your computer's processor. Python is strongly typed. Strongly typed languages don't convert data from one type to another type automatically. Python has a huge set of libraries. A Python library is a collection of programs you can incorporate into your own program without writing code for them. Let's take a look at a list of application types you can create with Python. Web applications. These are applications you can access using a web browser. Android applications. These are applications that runs on Android devices like Android phones and tablets. Games. You can create various types of games with Python. Scientific applications. You can create various types of scientific applications with Python. System administration applications. So you can use Python to create applications to monitor various types of systems. You can also create console applications. A console application basically is a computer program designed to be used via a text-only computer interface. Let's take a look at a list of software applications that have been created using Python. So some of these are quite famous and popular. First on the list is YouTube, and then we have Google, we have Dropbox. This program lets you save files to a cloud-based service that you can then access from anywhere in the world. We've also got Reddit. Reddit is one of the biggest open communities on the web. You have a question you want to talk about, something in specific, or if you want to find tons of information regarding a particular topic, for example, gardening or anything, you can just look on Reddit and find related information. Next, we have Spotify. Spotify allows you to listen to ad-free music of your choice. This is a streaming service that allows you to stream music without any advertisement. Finally, we've got Instagram. Instagram is very popular. It has both an app side and also a web site as well. And these are just a few list items of software that were created using Python. There are so many others, but these are just some few that you may have come across. So that is it for this video on what is Python. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Hello and welcome to this video. This video is about how to download and install Python on Windows-based computers. To check if Python is installed on your computer, you need to open up the command prompt and type in the following command, which is python space -- version. I have got my command prompt open, so I'm going to type in the command python space -- version, and then you press enter. You should get this message displayed saying Python is not recognized as an internal or external command. This proves that you haven't got Python installed. So I'm just going to exit out of this command prompt by clicking on the X, and we have the website for Python. So this is the official website to download Python. The link is displayed on the screen that will give you access to the download page of Python. So click on the downloads tab, which is this tab here, and the current version as of the time I am recording this video is Python 3.72. Next, you can click on the button that says Python 3.72 to begin the download. So click on that and the download should begin. So you can see the download here on the bottom left hand corner of the screen. So we'll give that a few minutes to complete the download. The next thing we're going to do is install Python from the downloaded file. To begin the installation, on the bottom left hand corner is the downloaded file. Just click on it to run the Python installation and you'll be presented with this screen. I'm just going to minimize the other screen so we can see the installation screen properly. The setup screen provides some information as to where Python is going to be installed, which tells you this is where it's going to be installed for me. And it also tells you what else is going to be installed. So it says it's going to install idle and it's going to install pip. Next, on the bottom here, we've got a box that says add Python 3.7 to path. Make sure you click inside that box to make it check, and then once you've got that box checked, click on this install now button to begin the installation. So click and that should start the installation. Once the installation is finished, you will get the message saying setup was successful. You can just click to close the setup box. Next thing we want to do is check that Python is installed. To check that we have definitely got Python installed, we need to type in the following command inside the command prompt. So you type in python space, you do -- version, and then you press enter, and that gives you the current version of Python. You can see it displays version 3.72. So this concludes this video on the download and installation of Python. Hello and welcome to this video. In this video, I will show you how to install Python 3 on a Mac. By default, Python comes pre-installed with all Macs, but the version is quite old, so it comes pre-installed with version 2.7. The current versions of Python being used is Python 3x. So let's open up our terminal to check the version of Python that we have installed. So this is my terminal. So you type in Python, you do a space -- version and press enter, and that gives you the current version installed on your Mac. So this is the version that comes pre-installed. It is possible to have both version 2 and 3 installed, so version 2 and 3 can coexist on the same machine. So let's go over to the official Python website and download Python version 3x. X meaning the current version. As of the time of recording this video, the current version of Python, if you go to downloads, it gives you the current version. So the current version is 3.7.2. All right, so to begin the download, just click on the button and it will just drop the download in the download folder. We give it a few minutes to complete. You can see it here, it's downloading. So once that blue bar is completed, we know that it has completed the download. So just give it a few minutes to complete. So once the download is completed, you can see here it gives you a little brown box on the bottom. Just click on the brown box and it shows you what's in there, which is a PKG file. So it tells you open in Finder. So click this to open it in Finder. Now this is what was downloaded. So just double click on it and that will launch the installer. So I'm just going to minimize everything else so that we can have access to the installer screen. So feel free to read through what's on the screen. Click continue. You can scroll through and read through all this. It just gives you some important information about the version. Click continue and you can check out the history and the license if you've got time to do that. Otherwise, click continue and you need to agree to the license agreement before you can progress with the installation. So click agree and click install. It will prompt you for your password. So enter your password and click install, and you can see here it started the installation. So I'm just gonna give it a few minutes to complete the installation. Installation is complete. So these are all the stuff that it basically installs. So when you install Python, it also installs all this, the idle and everything else. So I'm just going to exit that at the moment. It's just telling you what it has installed. And then here it tells you the installation was completed successfully. Congratulations, Python 3.7.2 for Mac OS 10.9 or later was successfully installed. So feel free to close the box and it tells you here, do you want to move the Python installer to the trash now that we've completed? I would say yes, move to trash because we've done the installation. Next thing is to open up the terminal and let's check for the version of Python. So to check the version of Python that we have installed, we need to type in Python 3 and do space -- version. If we typed in just Python, it will return Python 2, which we don't want. It tells me I've got Python 3.72. If we were to just type in Python and do a space -- version and press enter, it gives you version 2.7. So it's very important when you are trying to develop or create things in Python, you have to use the correct version of Python that you are referring to. For example, if I wanted to do something interactive and I typed in Python to give me the Python shell, and I can do simple maths, I'll do 6 + 6, I press enter, it gives me the answer of 12. Now, if I want to exit, this is called the Python shell. If I want to exit that, I type in exit and parentheses, press enter, and that will exit the shell. If I need to clear my screen, I type in clear and that clears the screen. Now, if I want to access Python 3 shell, I type in Python and then 3. If you notice, it tells me here, Python 3.7.2. So very important to type in the correct version of Python when you are trying to develop or experiment. So again, we can do a simple math. I do 8 + 7, it gives you 15. So we just exit, type in exit and then the parentheses, and that will exit the Python shell. So this concludes the installation of Python 3 on a Mac. Thanks very much. If you had any problems during the installation, please feel free to let me know. I'll be more than happy to help out. Thanks and bye for now. Hello and welcome. In this video, we are going to download and install the Atom text editor. What is Atom? Atom is a free, open source and modern text editor. By open source, I mean its source code is open for developers to contribute in making it better. The Atom text editor is cross-platform. That means it will work across multiple platforms platforms like Windows and also a Mac. The functionality of the Atom text editor can be extended by installing various types of extensions. You can download Atom from this link, which is atom.io. The link takes you to the homepage of the Atom text editor, where you can download and learn more about the text editor. This is the homepage of the Atom text editor. To download, there should be a download button. Here you go. Depending on your operating system, if you're running a Mac, it will present you with the relevant download button. I'm running a Windows, so I'm going to click on this to begin my download. So that's the download there. I'm going to give it a couple of minutes to finish downloading. Then I'll run the installation files. The files are finished downloading, so I'm just going to double click to run the Atom setup file. So click, and it's trying to prepare the file for installation. We just give it a few minutes to get. There you go. It's trying to launch. So what's happening is the editor is being installed at the moment. You can see it tells you here Atom is being installed, and it will launch once the installation is completed. Once the installation is completed, it automatically also launches the text editor, and this is the default screen that you are presented with when you first install the editor. So you've got different options here. You can, for now, it tells you here that Atom is not currently set as your default handler. You can skip that and go back to it later. So just click on X. So this is the default screen, and in this palette here, if you wanted to extend the functionality of Atom by installing different packages or extensions, this is where you will go. So you got an option here to install a package. Atom has several packages or extensions that you can use to extend its functionality. As you begin to use the editor, you may come across useful extensions or packages that others have used, and you may want to install it yourself, and this is where you go to install that. If you want to choose a theme, if you don't like the default theme, you click on this button to change it. And if you want to integrate with GitHub, it integrates nicely, GitHub and Git, which is a version control system. And if you want to open a new project, there's a tab here to open up a new project. So that's it for the installation of the Atom text editor. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Hello and welcome. In this video, we are going to download and install Visual Studio Code. What is Visual Studio Code? Visual Studio Code is a free open source modern text editor. By open source, it means the source code is open for developers to contribute in making it better. Visual Studio Code is cross-platform. That means it will work across multiple operating systems. So it will work on Windows. It will also work on Mac. Visual Studio Code can be extended in functionality by installing extensions. So if you want to add functionality to Visual Studio Code, you can download and install extensions to extend its functionality. The official link to the Visual Studio Code is displayed on the screen. You can download the Visual Studio Code from this link and also learn more about the text editor from the link. To download Visual Studio Code, just go to the link that I previously showed you, and that's the link there displayed, and it will show up the download tab for your respective operating system. If you're running a Mac, it will display a download button for a Mac. If you're on a Mac, just download, extract, and then drag the DMG file, which is a disk image file, into your applications folder, and that will install it for you. If you're running a Windows like I am, just click on the download for Windows, and that will start downloading the files. There you go. It's downloading the files for installation. So I'm just going to give it a couple of minutes to complete the download. There you go. It has completed. So I'm just going to double click and begin the installation. So you will get a pop-up like this. I'm just going to click next. I'm going to check this tab to accept the agreement and click next, and it's prompting me for a location. I'm just going to accept the default location it's telling you the disk space that is required. So I'll click next. Again, asking you to select a folder that it will install into. It's suggested a default here. I'm going to accept that and click next. And then we have some boxes here. It's checked here. Add path. This I would recommend you leave. If you want to add, for example, a shortcut icon, I'm going to click on that. So it creates a desktop icon on my desktop, and just click next. If you're interested in the other options, just check it. Once you're done, click next and click the install button, and that will begin the installation. Once the installation completes, you are given this completion screen, and there is a box there to say launch Visual Studio Code. If you don't want to launch it, you can uncheck it. It also, if you've checked the option to create a icon on your desktop, you will get an icon like this on your desktop. So I'm going to leave the launch Visual Studio Code so that it launches it. I'll click the finish button and then it will launch the application. So I'll click finish. So this is what the interface looks like here. So there's a file option that also has a preferences tab and a settings option. If you want to change the theme, for example, you can customize it by going here. You can see I've got a dark theme at the moment. If I click on color theme, and if I wanted to select a lighter theme, it will give you the options to, it tells you here, this is my default theme, which is dark. So if you want a lighter theme, just select one of the options. So this is where you can go and change your theme. If you haven't got the theme that you like there, you can always click on the extensions option, this option here, this tab here that says extension. If you click on that, and there's a search option that you can type in whatever extensions you want to install. While I'm here, there is an extension I want to install. It's called Paste and Indent, and what that does, it allows you to automatically indent your code. If you paste the code into your code editor, it will automatically indent it. So this is it. So if you want to install it, just click install and that will install it, and you can see here it's doing the install. Once it's done, you can click reload and that will reload the editor and tells you here the option has been enabled, paste and indent enabled. To learn more about the editor, there is a help option here and there is a documentation here you can always go to. So that's it for this video. In this video, I showed you how to download and install Visual Studio Code. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Hello and welcome to this video. In this video, I'm going to install Visual Studio Code on a Mac. Visual Studio Code is a free cross-platform text editor. Cross-platform basically means it can work on a Mac, on a Windows, on Linux. So it basically works on multiple platforms. It's a very powerful text editor and it is also free. So this is the official web page for Visual Studio Code. That is the link displayed above in the window here. You can install Visual Studio Code by either downloading it from the website via the download button, or you can install it using Homebrew. So if you've already got Homebrew installed on your Mac, you can use Homebrew. I'm going to be using Homebrew to install Visual Studio Code. So I'm going to open up my terminal. So I'll click to launch my terminal. And the first thing I'm going to do is to check if there are any updates for Homebrew. It's always a good idea to check for updates before you use Homebrew to install any packages. So the command to update Homebrew is brew space update, and then you press enter, and what that would do, it will search for any updates of any of the brew packages or dependencies and then perform the relevant update. The update for my Homebrew has completed, so I've had a lot of updates. Yours may be different from mine depending on what is on your Mac. So all these are the updates that it has done, and it has also done some deletions for me. So now I'm back to my command. I'm just going to clear the terminal. To install Visual Studio Code using Homebrew, you type in the command brew space install space visual studio code space cask and press enter, and that will fetch and install the package. So it's currently downloading Visual Studio Code. So it's now installing Visual Studio using Cask, which is a component of Homebrew. Installation has completed, so you should see a successfully installed message. So if we go to the applications folder, so here I'm going to click on Finder, and inside Finder we have the applications folder, and if I expand that, we should see an icon for Visual Studio Code. Here you go. So this is Visual Studio Code. I'm just going to double click to launch it, and this is it here. So it's trying to verify Visual Studio Code. Give it a few minutes to complete the verification. You may get a pop-up come up like this. Just click open. So this is what the Visual Studio interface looks like after launching it. It has different sections here, and you can exit the welcome screen. This is a welcome screen. To exit it, just click on X. On the left here you have different icons here. This is to explore the content. This is for search. That's for source control in case you want to use GitHub for version control or any other version control, and then here to run your code, and then here for extensions if you want to install any extensions that will extend the functionality of Visual Studio Code. This is where you will go to do the installation. So I'm just going to X out of that. So that's it for this video. In this video I showed you how to install Visual Studio Code using Homebrew. Thank you for watching. Bye for now. Hello and welcome to this video. What are data structures? Data structures in Python are structures that can hold some data together. So they are basically used to store related data. Python has 4 types of built-in data structures. They are the list, the tuple, a set, and the dictionary. So these are the built-in data structures in Python which are used to store a collection of related data. Hello and welcome to this video. In this video, I'm going to introduce you to what lists are in Python. What is a list? A list is basically what the name says. It's a list. So it's a collection of data which can be of mixed type. What that means is that the content of the list can be a string, which is a text. It can be a number. It can also be a Boolean value. So the data type can be either the same or they can be mixed. The items in a list are ordered by their index, and they're also changeable. When I say they're ordered by their index, the index refers to the position of the elements in the list, and also the elements can be changed. So you can have items in the list that you can later change. Lists are created by using square brackets. So you have the opening left square brackets, which opens up the list, and then the closing right bracket, which closes the list, and then you can have items in the list. You can also have an empty list just with square brackets and then nothing inside the list, which you can populate at a later time. The items in a list can be accessed by the index. The index refers to the position. So if you have a list that contains 5 items or values, the very first item will have an index or position of 0. The second item will have an index or position of 1, and so on. Each item in a list has to be separated by commas. So you separate the values in a list with a comma. A list is very useful. It allows you to store multiple values in one container or object. So that is it for this video. In this video, I gave you a quick introduction to what lists are in Python. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Hello and welcome to this video. In this video, we are going to be creating a list. To create a list, you just need to give the list a name. You use equals to, and then you assign the values in the list. So the left square bracket opens up the list. Then you add the values in the list. You separate each value with a comma. If it's a text or a string, you need to enclose it in quote, like I have done in the illustration. And then you use the right square bracket to close the list. So let's create a list. So So to create a list, I'm going to be using the text editor called Atom, and I've created a new Python file, which is this file here on my desktop, and I've called it my list. So you can create a file, a Python file, and then just save it anywhere. Your desktop might be easier, like I have done. And then this is the file. So this is where I'm going to be creating my list. To create a list, you start with a name. Always give your list a descriptive name to reflect the type of elements that the list is storing. So I'm creating a list called animals, and I'm going to set that to the different values. So I can just say the first value in there, I can say a bear. I'll do a comma to separate the values. I'll add another value. I'll say maybe a tiger. I'll do a comma, add another one. Let's say a lion, and so on. You can add as many items as you want in a list. I'm going to add, let's say, a panda. Let's add one more. I'll do a comma, and I'll make this one an elephant. So these are now elements in my list. So to save the file, I'll just do Control S on Windows. If you're on a Mac, you do Command S. You can use what is called a for loop. If you want to loop through the elements in the list and print them out, you can loop through them. And the way you could do that, you just do a for, and you say for X. Let's represent the name of the list as X. So we can say for X in animals, and then you add a colon, and then you use the print function or print statement and pass in that value of X. So I'll just do Control S to save. I'm going to open up my command prompt, which is this, and to access this file here, which I've saved, I'll just call it by its name, which is mylist.py, and I'll press enter. And you can see here is listed all the elements of the list. So I'm just going to clear my console by typing in CLS. If you're on a Mac, you can just type in clear, and that will clear the console or terminal. You can also use the print function on its own just to print the list. So I can type in print, and inside the parentheses for the print function, I just pass in the name of the list, and what that would do, it would just print exactly as it is. So I'll do Control S to save. If I open up my terminal, type in the name, which is mylist.py, and press enter. When you execute code, the code will execute in the order you've written it. So it's printing out each item first using this block of code, and then it goes on to this block of code and just prints which is this block here. It prints the entire list just the way it was created. So that's basically how to create a list in Python. Thanks for watching, and bye for now. Hello and welcome to this video. In this video, I will be showing you how to access the elements of a list. So you can access the elements or values in a list by using the index. The index basically refers to the position of the elements in a list. With a Python list, the index are 0 based. What that means, the first element or item in the list is given a position of 0. So let's take a look at an example. So let's look at this list here, which is called animals. So with this list, if we want to access, say, the bear, this will be position 0, and this will be position 1, and this will be position 2. So it is a 0 based index. So let's take a look at how we would do this. So I've got some code here from a previous video. So I'm going to comment out some lines here. So because I don't want them to be printed, I want them to be ignored. So I'll just comment it out. All right. So these are all commented out now. So if I wanted to access the bear from this list, this is how I would do it. I'll type in print, and in parentheses, I refer to the name of the list. So the name is called animal, and then inside that I add a square bracket and I type in a 0. So the 0 is the index. So what that means, when this prints, it will just grab the 0 index, which is the first item or element in the list, which is this called bear. So I'm going to save that, and if I open up my command prompt and just type in the name of my file, which is my list.py, and press enter, and you can see it's giving me the value of bear, which is the first item on the list. Now if I wanted to access the tiger will have an index of 1. I'll have to replace the 0 with a 1, and so on, depending on how many items you have on the list. If you notice, because I have commented out blocks of my code, the bits I have added a comment to, it has not been displayed on the screen. So comments are quite useful if you want to try different things and you don't want all the code in your file to be acted upon. So it blocks out the aspects you don't want to be executed or printed on the screen. You can also access elements within a list from the back of the list. So if you're doing a zero-based index, it would access the elements from the first. Now, if I change this from 0 to say -1, -1, what that will do, it will access from the back of the list. It will now give me elephant rather than bear. So let's check this out. I'm just going to save the file and open up my command prompt and execute. You can see now it's giving me elephant instead of the bear because I have used a negative. When you use a negative index, it gives you a value from the back of the list. Another thing you can do with accessing list items is that you can access a range. For example, if I wanted to access, say, from this to this, you can specify that. Or if you want to start listing from a certain index, you can. So this is position 0, this is position 1. Let's say I want to just print out anything from position 1 and not 0. So the way I will do that, inside my print statement, I will just do 1 and I'll do a colon. And what that will do, it will print out everything apart from the position of 0. So let's check that out. And I'm just going to type in the name of my file, which is my list.py, and press enter. And you can see it prints out tiger, lion, panda, and elephant, but it skips the bear. So by using the index number and the colon, it will print everything after that index, as you can see here. Another thing you can do is you can specify a range. So let's say I only want the tiger and the lion printed on the screen. So instead of just doing the 1 and the colon, I can come here and add 3. So this is position 0, position 1, position 2, position 3. What this will do, it will print just position 1, position 2, but it will not print position number 3. So let's save that and check that out inside our terminal or command prompt. So I just type in the name of my file, which is my list.py, and press enter. And as you can see, this has just printed out the tiger and the lion. The tiger is position 1 and the lion is position 2. It doesn't print position 3. So I'm giving it a range. So I say print, grab the values from position 1 and 2. All right, that's what that does. And the final thing I want to show you in this video is how to modify the list. So if you want to change the item in the list, let's say this item called bear, I want to change that to a dog. The way I would do that, I just type in the name of the list, which is animals, and I'll add the square bracket and add the index of what I want to change, which is the bear. It has an index of 0, and then I'll use the equals to sign to set a new value for what I want to change it to. So let's say I want to change the value of the bear to the dog. That's how I would do that. So I'll do Control S to save. If you're on a Mac, you can do Command S. Now I can test this. If I do a print, and inside that print, I type in the name of my list and I'm passing the index of 0. Now this index of 0 will no longer say bear. It should now say dog, because I've made a modification to that name. So let's save that and let's go back into my command prompt. I type in my list.py and press enter, and as you can see, it's giving me the value of dog. So when you're executing code, it will do it line by line. So this here is printing out this code here on line 5. That's this line, and then this print here on line 7 refers to this dog that I'm telling it to grab the value of that index 0. So that's basically how you can play around and access values and also modify values within a list. Thanks for watching and bye for now. Hello and welcome to this video. In this video, I'll be showing you some common list methods that you can use to transform or modify a list. In this video, I am using the PyCharm IDE and I have already created a file called listmethods.py, and inside this file, which is the file you're looking at here, I have created two lists. First one is called fruits and it has 4 items in it. Second one is called vegetables and it's got 3 items in it. The first method I'm going to introduce you to is called the extend method. So what it does, it will extend one list content into another. So I'm basically going to join the contents of one list into another list. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to join the content of the vegetable list into the fruit list. So this is how I would write the code. I'll do fruits dot extend, and inside the parentheses for the extend I'll pass in the name of what I want to extend, which is vegetables. All right, so now if I do a print statement and pass in the value of fruits, it should return contents that include the contents of the vegetable list. So I'm just going to do Ctrl S to save my file. Now let me try and run it. I'll run it from here first. I'll right click and go run list method, and as you can see here, I've got the contents of the first list, which is fruits, and I've also got the contents of the second, which is vegetables. So you've got kale, broccoli, lettuce. You can see here the contents of the second list is added to the content of the first list using the extend method. The next method I want to introduce you to is called the append method. This method is basically used to add an item to the end of the list. So what I want to do, I'm going to append to my list called vegetables. So the way I would do that, I'm just going to call it by its name. I'll say vegetables.append, and inside the parentheses I will just type in the name of what I am appending. So I'm adding beans to the end of this vegetable list. So if I do a print statement here and pass in the name vegetables inside that, I will see that beans has been appended to the end of vegetables. So let me click on the play button to run this file. You can see here, this is it here. I've got kale, broccoli, lettuce, and beans. The first line of code here is referring to this print statement, which includes the contents of the vegetables and contents of the fruits. If I do a print statement on the fruits, that will not contain this new item I have added because the extent was done before I did the append on the vegetable list. The next list method I want to introduce you to is called the sort method. Sort method is basically used to order the items in a list in either descending order or ascending order. The default is ascending. If you just use the sort without specifying, it will order the item by ascending. Ascending meaning from A to Z. If you specify a reverse, it will do it the other way around, which is descending, which is from Z to A. So let's take a look at how we can implement that. So I'm going to apply the sort method to my vegetable list. I'm just going to click on this X to close the console area. So this is my vegetable list. So if I apply, you can see the order it is now. If I apply a sort method, it will reverse the order. So if I sort without specifying descending or ascending, it will sort it in ascending. ascending, that is from A to Z. So I'll expect broccoli to be the first on the list, followed by kale and then lettuce. So let's try and see how that is done. So I do a vegetable. So I'll come here, type in the name vegetables, and after the name I do a dot, type in sort, okay, and do the parentheses. Now if I do it just like this, it will be the default. It will sort it in ascending order from A to Z. So now let me do a print statement, and inside that print statement I pass in the vegetables. Now if I save that and do a print, just do a play here, and you can see here, if I move this up a bit so you can see my vegetables here. Originally when I set that up, this is how it was set up, but using the sort method, it has resorted it. You can see bean is first, followed by broccoli, followed by kale, and then lettuce. And don't forget that I added bean here using the append method, so bean takes order in terms of ascending. You can also do it in reverse. If you want to do it from, say, from Z to A, you can do that. And what you need to do is just do a dot sort, all right, and then inside the parentheses you type in reverse equals to true, all right, and that will do the same thing. So let me say, for example, add vegetables again. If I do it this way, vegetables dot sort reverse true, and if I do a print statement again, it will sort it out in descending order. So let me run that again and click on the play button, and you can see here it's done that in reverse. Okay, this is the first bit where it did it in ascending order, A to Z, and this is reversed it from Z to A. So that's how you use the sort method to sort items in a list. The next method I'm going to introduce you to is called the count method. This method is used to count the number of occurrence of an item in a list. So it checks to see how many instances of that item or element is in the list. So I've got my first list here, fruits. I want to check the count on berries. So it's basically going to tell me how many occurrences of berries there are in the list. As you can see, I've only got the one instance, but you may have occasion where you have a list that has multiple instances of a particular name. So what I'm going to do here, in order to apply the count method, I'm going to just type in print, and inside the parentheses for the print I'm going to type in fruits, and then inside that I'm going to add the parentheses. So I'll do fruits dot count and then add a parentheses. Inside that parentheses I'll pass in the name of the item, which is berries. So by doing it this way, I don't have to do a separate print statement. This print statement will just apply the method and then print out the result. You can see here it's giving me a count of 1 because that item only occurs once. Okay, so you can see these are all the code that has been executed. When you execute code, the code will run line by line. So this line here, line 5, will print first, and then it goes on to line 8, and then line 11, line 14, line 16. So it will print the code in the order it was written. I'm going to end this lecture here, and we'll continue in part 2 with more list methods. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Hello and welcome to the part 2 of Python list methods. We'll continue from where we left off in part 1. The next method I want to introduce you to is called the index method. The index method is used to return the index position of a specified item. Say I want to find out the index of the fruit called grapes. Don't forget, index are 0 base, which means the first item will have an index of 0, second item will have an index of 1, and so on. So I want to find out what index grape is. So this is how I would represent the code. I'll type in, I want to enclose that in a print statement. So I'll do a print, and inside that print I'll type in the name of my list, which is called fruits. So I'll do a dot and just access the index method. Inside the parentheses for the index index method, I will specify the name of the fruit item that I am trying to find the index for. So I'm just going to save that. Now, if I run this, the method will run first, and then the print statement, which is the outer one, will then show the result. So let me click on the play button here, and you can see here is giving me an index of 2, which is correct. So everything here is the other code that has been running. So when you run your file, the code will execute from top to bottom, left to right. So anything that has a print statement like line 5 will print first, and so on. So you can see here the code was right. The grapes has an index of 2. So if I run that again, you can see the index value showing as 2. The next method I want to introduce you to is called the insert method. It allows you to add an item anywhere on the list. The insert method can take in 2 parameters. You can take in the position, the index position where you want the item to be added, and also the name of the item. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add banana to the fruit list, and I want it to take the index of 0. So that means it's going to be the first item on the list. So let me come down here and represent that. So this is how I would do that. I will say fruit.insert, okay, and inside the insert method, you specify the index. I want it to be the first item on the list, so that will give it an index of 0. I'll do a comma, I'll do a space, and then add the item. So I want to add banana to the list. So I'll then come here and do a print statement again, and inside that print statement, I'll just print fruit, okay, and then I'll save that and then run my file. I just click on the play button, and I should now see, you can see here is this line of code here, line 21 is what is here. You can see I've got banana, got berries, apples, and so on, because I made banana to be first by the index. So that's how you add a new item to the list, to any position you want on the list. The next method I'm going to introduce you to is called the pop method. The pop method is used to remove the last item in a list when nothing is specified between the parentheses. So if you want to specify an item to be removed, you have to pass in the name of that item in between the parentheses. When you pass in an item, it's known as a parameter. So before I start, I'm just going to play my file here so that we can see the list. Now the list I'm targeting is the fruit list. So if you look here, the last item on that list, because I joined the list together, is lettuce. So if I do a pop on that list called fruit, it should remove lettuce from the list. So let me come here and just do a fruits, type in the name of my list, which is fruit, and then I apply the pop method, and I will not pass in any parameter. I'll leave it empty, and I'll come here and do a print statement and pass in the name of my list, which is called fruits. I'll save that and I'll play the file, and I don't expect to see lettuce on the list. You can see that line of code has lettuce. This line of code has not got lettuce because I have removed that using the pop method. You can also pass in a parameter. When you pass in a parameter, it means you pass in a value. So the fruit.pop here, the pop method, have not passed in any parameter. If I want to specify an item to be removed, I can pass in a parameter which is known as a value. I just place it in between the parentheses and it will remove that value I have passed rather than the last. But when you don't specify a value, it will remove the last item on the list. The next method I'm going to introduce you to is called the remove method. It's self-explanatory. It is used to remove a specified item from a list. So let's say I want to remove the item kale from my vegetable list. So to do that, I need to use the remove method. So I'll just type in the name of my list, which is vegetables, and I'll just do vegetables.remove, and inside the parentheses for that remove method, I'll pass in the name of the vegetable I want to remove, which is kale. And if I come here and do another print statement, I'm passing the name of my list, which is vegetables. If I save that and run that file, I don't expect to see kale on the list. You can see here, that is the last line of code here. This one, line 27, I've got lettuce, broccoli, bean, no kale. You can see here in the previous line of code, I had kale. So that's how you remove an item from a list. The final method I want to talk about in this video is called the del method, which is basically used to delete a list. You can also use this method to delete an item from a list. If you pass in the index in between the parentheses, that can remove the item. But I'm going to show you an illustration of how to use this method to remove a list completely. So I have got two lists here. I've got one called fruits, one vegetables. So let's say I want to remove the list called vegetables. I just type in del and then space followed by the name of the list, which is vegetables. Now if I come down here and do a print statement, the last print statement should give me an error because that list will no longer be available. So I expect to get an error saying that. So let me save my file and then just play this file by clicking on the play button. And you can see here that I have an error and it tells me that on line number 30, you can see here it says line 30, which is this line 30 in my code. And it tells me that I have a name error. You can see here it says name error, name vegetable is not defined. That's because I have removed it on line 29. So when the print statement on line 30 tried to execute that, it couldn't find it because it has been removed. So these are some list methods that you can use. There are others, but these ones I've covered are some very commonly used ones. Thanks for watching and bye for now. Hello and welcome to this video. In this video, I'm going to introduce you to what tuples are in Python. What is a tuple? A tuple is a list that cannot be changed in any way. It means they are immutable. They cannot be mutated or changed. The only thing you can do to a tuple once you've created it is delete it. You can create a tuple by giving the tuple a name and just adding parentheses and placing the values inside parentheses. You can also use what is called a tuple constructor to create a tuple. Once you've created a tuple, you can access the individual elements within a tuple by using the index number. The tuples have a zero-based index. What that means is that the first value in the tuple is given an index of 0, the second is given an index of 1, and so on. Let me show you how you can create a very basic tuple with just a name and parentheses. I am using the text editor called Atom and I have created a empty Python file on my desktop. I've called it my_tuples and I've given it a .py extension. That's what makes it a Python file. So now let me begin by giving my tuple a name. Try to give your tuple descriptive name that illustrates or tells you what it is the tuple is storing. So I'm going to create a tuple. I'm going to call it fruits and I use the equals to sign and then add my parentheses. Inside my parentheses, I will now add the elements or the values I want to be in my tuple. So that is great. And do a comma and add another value. I'll say apples. Always separate the values with a comma. I'll just add one more and I'll make this berries. So you can have as many items or elements as you wish to do so. So now this basically creates the tuple. So I can just do a Ctrl S to save this file. If you're on a Mac, you can do a Command and S to save it. Once you have created a tuple, you can use what is called a for loop to loop through, that is go through the list and then print it out on the screen. So let's do that. So to add a for loop so that that we can print the elements of our tuple, we just type in 4, and I'm just going to use X to represent the values inside the tuple. So I'll say X in fruits, okay, and I'll do a colon and press enter. Then I will use the print statement to print the values, and I'll just say X. And what this should do, it will print out the values or the elements on the screen. So I'm just going to do a Control S to save. Now if I open up my command prompt, this is my command prompt. If you're on a Mac, you need to open up your terminal and navigate to where you've stored your file. I've stored my file on my desktop, so I've navigated to it here. You can see my desktop. So all I need to do is just type in the name of my file, which is my_tuples.py, and that should print the elements. You can see here it's printed all the elements, is looped through and then printed them on the screen. So that's how you can loop and print elements from your tuples on the screen. You can access individual elements within a tuple by using their index number. So let's say I want to access the element berries from this fruits tuple. This is how I would do that. I'm going to use a print statement to print it out on the screen. So I'll do print, and inside the parentheses I pass in the name of my tuple, and then within that I'll add the square bracket and add the index, because the first element is grapes, so that will have an index of 0, apples will be 1, and then the berries will have an index of 2. So I'm targeting the berries. So I'm just going to put a comment here on line 2 because I don't want that to be printed. I don't want that line of code to run. So the only line of code I want to run is line 4 and line 1. So once I've done that, I just come here and do Control S. Now if I open up my terminal and just let me clear my terminal, and then I type in the name of the file, which is my_tuples.py, I only expect it to print out the value of berries. As you can see here, is printed out berries because that's what's inside my code editor. I've commented out line 2, line 3, so the interpreter will ignore those 2 lines. So that's basically how you can access individual elements within a tuple. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Hello and welcome to this video. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a tuple using a tuple constructor. This involves using double parentheses. To create a tuple using a tuple constructor, you first of all need to give the tuple a name. So I'm going to create a tuple. I'm going to call it animals, and then I use the equals to, and then I'll type in the word tuple, and then I'll have double parentheses, and inside the inner parentheses is where I will add the values I want to be in my tuple. So I'll say lion, I'll do a comma, add another one, I'll say tiger, I'll do a comma and add one more. Let's make this one a bear. So that basically creates the tuple using a tuple constructor. So again, if we want to print this out on the screen, we can just use a for loop to loop through them, or we can just use the print statement to just print the tuple. So we can just say print, and inside the parentheses for the print statement, we just type in the name of the tuple, and then we save as the file using Control S. Now if I open my command prompt, if you're on a Mac, you need to use the terminal. So this is my command prompt. I'm just going to type the name of the file, which is on my desktop. You can see I've navigated to my desktop. So I just call the file, which is called my_tuples.py, and that should just print out the values of the tuple. So you can see it's got lion, it's got tiger, and it's got the bear. You can also access the individual values in the tuple again by using the index. Lion will have an index of 0, tiger will have an index of 1, and bear will have an index of 2. There is a special method you can use. If I wanted to find out the length of the items in my tuple, I can just do a print statement. I'll do a print, and inside the parentheses I type in the length method, and inside that I will just add the name of my tuple, which is animal. So I'm just going to comment out line number 2 because I don't want line number 2 to be printed out. I just want the line number 3 executed. So I just do Control S to save, and I open up my command prompt. So I'm just going to clear the screen, and now I'll type in the name of the tuple, which is my underscore tuples.py. I'll press enter, and you can see here it's giving me is returned 3, which means the length of the elements in my tuple is 3. So lion 1, 2, 3. Once you create a tuple, you cannot modify it. The only thing you can do is delete it. If, for example, if I try to add to my tuple, I will expect to get an error. So if I say animals, which is the name of my tuples, and I will use a method called add. So I'll do add, and then inside the parentheses I'll add the value of what I need to add. So let's say I want to add dog to that tuple. That's the way I will represent it, but I expect the code to error because you cannot change a tuple once you've created it. So if I do another print statement here and say print animals, I will expect this line of code to error because you cannot change a tuple once it has been created. So let me open up my command prompt again, and I just type in that's the name of the file, which is this file here. If I press enter, you can see it will execute this line of code which prints the length, which is 3, but you can see the line 4 it did not execute. It did not execute line 5 because of the error. Let me show you what the error says. It says attribute error, tuple object has no attribute add. Okay, so we cannot add to a tuple. You cannot also change the value. So let's say if I put a comment here, and then I come here, I type in animals, all right, and I say let's say we have lion on index 0. I want to change that to, let's say, a cheetah. Not sure if that's the right spelling, but okay, and then I'll save, Control S. Now if I try to run my Python file again, I expect there to be an error from line number 5 and 6 because I'm trying to modify an existing value, but it's not going to let me do that. So I press enter. You can see it prints 3 here, which is line 3 of the code. It executes that. Okay, no problem. Line 4 I commented out. Line 5 and 6 is giving me an error. You can see it says here type error, tuple object does not support item assignment. So I'm trying to reassign a different value to an item that's already in the list. It will not do that. The only thing you can do to a tuple once you've created a tuple is delete it, and you can delete it just by using the keyword del followed by space and then the name of the tuple. You can see on line 6 here I am deleting the tuple. I've also commented out all the other lines of code. That means those block of code will not be executed. So I'm just going to do a Control S to save. Now if I run this file, I expect to get an error to tell me that that does not exist. All right, so you can see here it's telling me here name error, animals is not defined, and that is because I've deleted the tuple on line 6 here. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and bye for now. Hello and welcome to this video. In this video, I'm going to introduce you to a Python set. The set is a type of data structure in Python. What is a Python set? A set is basically a collection of values. The values in a set are not ordered. That means they are not in any particular order, and the values in a set are not indexed. This is because they are not ordered, so it's difficult to index them. The set allows you to add values to it. However, you cannot change the values that are already in the set. This is very important. You can add values to a set, but you cannot change existing values. One way of creating a set is by giving the set a name. Try to give your set a descriptive name that reflects the type of values it stores, and then you add curly braces, and inside the curly braces is where you indicate the values that are going to be stored in the set. I have got my text editor opened. I'm going to be using the text editor called Atom. I've also created a Python file and I've called it myset.py. So that's the name of the file. It must have a .py to make it a Python file. So I'm going to create a set. So I'll give the set a name. I'm going to call it fruits, and I use the equals to assign values, and the values has to be placed inside curly braces. So I'll now add the values. The first value I'm going to add is going to be grapes. You separate each value with a comma, and now I'm going to add another one called apples. I'll do a comma and I'll add one more and I'll call this berries. So that basically creates a set. It is difficult to access the individual elements in a set because they are not indexed, so they are not in any particular orders. The orders can change, so you can't access the value from the index because they are not indexed. However, you can loop through and print out all the elements in a set, and you can do that using the for loop. So to do that, I can just say for x in fruits, okay, and then you add the colon. So the x represent each value. I can just say print x, and what that will do, it will print all the elements inside the set. So let's see how that works. Let me run this Python file inside my command prompt. So I've navigated to my desktop, which is where the Python file is. So in order to run the file, I just call it by its name. So I'll say myset.py and I'll press enter, and you can see it prints out all the elements inside the set. Another way you can create a set is by using a constructor function. So the constructor basically is a special type of function used to create objects. So if I wanted to create a set called animals, this is how I would represent it. When you're using the constructor function, notice you have double parentheses. So I'm going to create a set using a constructor function. So you start with a name I want to call it. I'm going to call it animals, and I'll say equals to, and I'm going to have double parentheses, and inside the inner parentheses I'll specify the values that I want to add to the set. First value is a lion. Second value I will say tiger. I'll add one more and I'll make this one a bear. So I basically created another set by using a constructor function. Now if I wanted to print the values of this set on the screen, I can do what I've done here on line 2 and 3. Just do the same thing here, and that will loop through and print out the elements inside that set. If you want to count the values in a set, you can do that using a special built-in function called len. If you just add the name of the set inside the len function, that will print out the values in the set. So let's try and print out the values inside the set called animals. So the way we'll do that is to do a print, and inside that print function we add another function called len, and inside that len function we'll pass in the name of the set, which is animals, and we just do Ctrl S to save on the window. If you're on a Mac, just do Command S and that will save the file. So now if I run my file again, which is myset.py, it will execute the code. You can see here this print x here prints all the values from the first set, which is fruits, and this line of code 3 here basically is this here where is printing the length of the values in this set called animals. You can see there are 3: the bear, the tiger, and the lion. That is what this value 3 represents. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Hello and welcome to this video. In this video, I'm going to show you some built-in set methods that can be used in Python. So let's take a look at a table showing some built-in set methods. So I'm just going to quickly run through the methods from top to bottom. The add method basically is used when you want to add just a single element to what's already in the set. The update method is what you use if you want to add multiple elements at a time to a set. You use the clear method to remove all the elements inside the set. The discard and the remove method, they both do the same thing, so it depends on what you want to use. You use that to remove a specified element or item from the set. The delete method, which is del, is used to delete the set completely. I have got 2 sets inside my editor. I'm going to add to the first set, which is called fruits. Just going to add 1 item, so I need to use the add method. So I'll first of all call the name of the set by its name, so I'll say fruit, and then use a period and then add the add method, and inside the parentheses for the add method is where I will add the value that I want to be included in the set. So in this case, I've added oranges. Now if I do a print function and pass in the name of the set, it will print the original values plus the one I just added, which is oranges. So let me run that in my command prompt. So to do that, I'm just going to type in the name of the file, which is myset.py. That's this file here on my desktop, and I just press enter to run it. You can see here it's giving me the original names, which is apple, grapes, oranges, berries. The oranges is what I just added here. That you can see why we can't use index for accessing values in a set, because they are not in any particular order, so it's difficult to index them. All right, so that's how you add a single item to a set. You can also add multiple items to a set. You do that using the update method. So you start with the name of the set, and then you do a period followed by the update method. You do a parentheses for that method, and inside that you add square bracket. You add the values that you want to include inside the square bracket and separate each value with a comma. All right, so you can see I've added 2 values. I've added mango and I've added kiwi. Now if I come down here and do my print function again, I'm passing the name of my set. If I run that again, it should give me the updated values, which will include the mango and the kiwi. So let me run my file again. Now you can see I've got the apples, mango, that's the kiwi that I just added, the oranges, berries, and grapes. So it's now showing me this is the update one, mango, kiwi. There's mango there, that's kiwi, and that's the oranges I added previously using the add method, and that's the rest that were in there. So that's how you can add a single item, and you can also add multiple items using the update method. You can remove items from a set using either the remove method or the discard method. They both do the same thing. So let's try and remove an element. So let's say I want to remove the element kiwi from my fruits set. So I just come here and just type in the word fruits, and I do a dot remove, and inside the parentheses I'll pass in the name kiwi, and then I'll do a print statement, and inside that print function I'll pass in the name of my set, which is fruits, so that I can check if that value kiwi has been removed. So let me print that out, and I just type in the name of my file, which is myset.py, and you can see here it runs what's in my file, and you can see there is no kiwi here. We've got apples, oranges, oranges, grapes, mango, berries. We've got kiwi on this line of code, but nothing here. So we have successfully removed an item from a set. You can also empty a set, that is get rid of everything inside the set, by using a method called clear. So if I wanted to get rid of all the items in this set called fruits, I just do a dot clear and that should clear everything. And if I come down here and do a print statement and pass in the name of my set, I will expect to get an empty set return. So let me run my file again. I do my set.py and press enter. Now you can see it runs all the lines of code here, but when it comes to line number 10, you can see here is giving me an empty set. The set is empty because I have now emptied the set of its content. You can also delete a set completely. So here on line number 2, I've got a set called animals. So let's say I wanted to delete that. I would type in delete followed by the name of the set, which is called animals. Okay, and if I do a print statement to print animals, I should get an error saying that does not exist. So I'll save that and I'll run my code again. I'll just run that and you can see, so you can see here it runs through the code here, it executes line by line. That's the print statement here, and you can see when it comes to this one here, it says when I say print animals, it's telling me here there is a name error. Name animal is not defined. It's not defined because I have removed it. It tells you exactly the line of code that is trying to execute, which is line 12. This is line 12. I'm trying to run this. Can't find it because I have deleted it in line 11. So that's basically how you can delete a set. And in this video, I've also given you some illustration of other methods that you can use on a set. Thanks for watching and bye for now. Hello and welcome to this video. In this video, I'm going to introduce you to the Python data type called dictionary. What is a Python dictionary? A real-life dictionary holds words and their meanings. A Python dictionary is similar, but it holds key value pairs. Key value pairs basically mean all the values inside the dictionary will have a unique key and a corresponding value. For example, you could have a key that is called fruit and the value would be a name of a fruit, for example, apple. So that's what it means by key value pairs. So they come in pairs. You have the key and then you have the values. The values can be changed. That means they are mutable. Also, the values must have unique keys. So you cannot have duplicate keys for the same values. The keys are unique. You can also store mixed data types. So you can store strings and you can also store numbers inside a dictionary. You can mix the data types or you can have a specific data type. There are different ways you can create a dictionary. So let me walk you through a couple of ways. I'm going to be using the text editor called Atom, and I've created an empty file on my desktop called mydict, and I've called it mydict.py. So any code I write here will be a Python file. First thing you need to do is give your dictionary a name. Try to give it a name that reflects what it is you are storing. So I'm going to call my dictionary my car, and then I'll add the equals to, and then I'll add my curly braces, and I'll tab in between to separate the curly braces, and I will start adding the key. So I'll start with the key first. So the key, I'll type in brand, and after the key, I do a colon, and I then specify the value. So my value, I'll say Range Rover Sports. Okay, that is one key value. This is the key, which is unique, and this is the value. The value can change, but but the key has to be unique for each value. So I'm going to tab and add another. So you need to separate each of the key value pairs with a comma. So I'll add a comma, come down here and do a different one. So I'll add another key. This time I'm going to give this a model, make this model, and I will add the colon and give it a value. The value, I'll say HSE. I'll do a comma and I'll add one more key value. This time I'm going to make this one the year, make it in lowercase, yeah, and then I add the colon and I'll add the year. I'll say 2017. Notice this is a numerical data type, so I don't need to put quotes around it, and I don't need to add a comma because that is the last value, so no need. If I'm adding more, then I use a comma to separate each key value pair. So that is basically it for creating a dictionary. I've just created a basic dictionary. So if I wanted to print this dictionary, all I have to do is type in print, and in parentheses I specify the name of my dictionary, which is called my car, and I'll save my document. I'll do Ctrl S to save it, and then I'll run it inside my terminal or command prompt. So I've got my command prompt here, and I've navigated to my desktop, which is where my Python file is, and that's the name of the file. So if I just press enter, it should execute the code. You can see here it's printed out my dictionary. That is a key, that's the value, that's another key, that's the value, that's another key, that is the value. Another way you can create a dictionary is by using a dictionary constructor function. The constructor is basically a special function that you can use to create an object. So to create a dictionary using the constructor method, you first of all have to give the dictionary a name. So I'm going to call mine my greens, and you do the equals to, you type in the word dict, okay, and then in parentheses you then specify the key and then the values. So this is how you do it. You first of all type in the key. It's a bit different when you use the constructor method. So you use the key, and then once you specify the key, you add the equals to, and then you enclose the values in quotes if it's a string value. So I'm going to say green apples, okay, so that is 1. I'll do a comma and I'll add another key. The key this time is going to be vegetables, okay, that's the key, and I'll do equals to, and then I'll add value. I'm going to enclose that in quotes as well, and the value will be kale. I can add a print function and then print out what's inside this new dictionary I created. All I need to do is just pass in the name of the dictionary, and I'll save the file and open up my command prompt. That's my command prompt. So I'll just type in the name, and you can see here that is my first dictionary, and this is the second dictionary I created using the constructor function. So that's basically how you create dictionaries. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Hello and welcome to this video. In this video, I'm going to show you some built-in dictionary methods that you can use on your dictionaries. So here is a table showing some of the methods you can use. I'm just going to quickly run through them. I'll start from the top. The get method basically is what you use if you want to return the value of a specified key. You use the update method to insert a specified key value pair inside the dictionary. The clear method will remove all the key value pairs inside the dictionary. The keys method is what you use if you want to return just a list of the keys that the dictionary had. The values method is what you use to return a list of just the values, while the del, which is the delete method, is what you use to delete the dictionary. So we're going to take a look at some of these methods in this video. Before we experiment with some of the dictionary methods, I just want to show you some other functions that we can use with the dictionary. For example, we can count the number of key value pairs in a dictionary by using the len function. So let me show you how to do that. So let's say I want to find out the number of key value pairs in this dictionary I created called my car. This is how I would represent that value. I'll use a print function, and inside that print function I'm going to add another function which is called len. So inside that len function, I'll pass in the name of my dictionary, which is my car. And what that will do, it will print the number of key value pairs inside that particular dictionary. So let me just run that inside my terminal here. I'm just going to type in the name, which is my dictionary.py, and that will run. You can see here it's giving me, it's returned a value of 3, which means there are 3 key value pairs in my dictionary called my cars. You can see the brand and the value 1, the model and the value 2, the year and the value 3. So that's basically how you can check the number of key value pairs in your dictionary by using the len function. The values in a dictionary are mutable. That means you can change the value. So let me show you how to change a value. So inside my dictionary called my car, I've got a key called year and the value is 2017. So let's say I want to change this year from 2017 to 2019. So this is how I would represent it. I'll do my car, which is the name of my dictionary, and inside square brackets I will specify the key, which is the year. Make sure you enclose that in quotes because it is a string, and then I'll use the equals to assign the new value, which is 2019. Now if I do a print statement on that dictionary, you will see that it will now show that the year key is now 2019. So I'm just going to run my file again, and you can see here the year is now showing 2019. Previously it was showing 2017, but I changed it by using this block of code on line 11, and that has changed it to 2019. If we wanted to return the value of a specified key, we can use a method called get. So this is how you could represent that. So I'll do a print, and inside that print function I will add the name of my dictionary, which is called my car, and then I'll add the get method. I'll say dot get, and inside that get method I'll add the parentheses, and then I'll add the value of what I'm trying to get. So let's say I want to get the year. All right, the year here is 2017. If I wanted to get the value of that year, this is the way I will represent it. So if I run my Python file inside my command prompt, it will now display just the value, which is displayed here as 2017. So the get method you use to get the value of a specified key. If you wanted to add a new key value pair into the dictionary, you can use a method called update. So let's go ahead and do that. So you start with the name of the dictionary. My dictionary is called my car, and then you use the update method, which is dot update, and then you add the parentheses. Inside the parentheses you add curly braces. Inside that curly brace you add the key. So the key in this place is going to be color, and then you add the colon, and then you add the value. My value is going to be silver. So that is the new key pair. Now if I do a print function and pass in the name of my dictionary, I expect it to add this new key that I've just added, the new key and the value. Notice that I put a comment on line number 20 in my code because I do not want that line of code to execute. So that line of code will not run. So let me go back to my command prompt and just type in the name of my file, and we can see if it displays. You can see here, this is the new key I added called color, and that's the value called silver. All right, so I've used the update method to add a new entry into my dictionary. You can also use a method called keys that will return a list of all the keys inside your dictionary. So this is how I would do it. I can create a container or a variable, say B, and I'll give it a value which will be equals to the name of my dictionary, and then I'll add the method, which is dot keys, and add the parentheses. Now what this will do do, if I now do a print, if I just do a print and pass in the value B, what that will do, it will print a list of all the keys available inside my dictionary called my car. Again, notice I put a comment on some lines of code here. Any line of code that I've got this hash symbol in front of it will not run because I have commented it out. The interpreter will ignore that. So let me open up my terminal, my command prompt, and run my code again. Now you can see here, this line of code here, that's the dictionary keys. So it's giving me a list of all the dictionary keys, brand, model, and year. You can see here my text editor, I've got brand, I've got model, and I've got year. You can also do the same if you just want to get the values out. Rather than use keys, you use the word values, and that will print out a list of values. Rather than print out the list of dictionary keys, you will get a list of the values for the dictionary keys if you replace keys with values. If you want to remove a value from the dictionary, you can do that using the pop or using the delete method. So let's try with a pop first. So I'll type in the name of my dictionary, which is my car, and then I'll add the pop method. You do dot pop and you pass in inside the parentheses, you specify what it is you're trying to remove. You just type in the key. So I'll type in the key for mine, which is the color. I want to remove the color. So what I need to do here is remove the comment from that so that updates. Okay, so now if I do my car.pop, it should remove this key and the value called silver from my dictionary. So this line of code here, line 25, my car.pop will remove the color, key, and the value silver from my dictionary. So this is the code. This is the code here. You can see here there is no color, key, and there is no silver because that has been removed by using the pop method. If you want to empty the dictionary, clear all the key value pairs, there's a method you can use for that. It's called clear. So if I type in my car, that's the name of my dictionary, I do dot clear, and that if I run this print statement here and pass in the car there, it should return an empty dictionary. So you can see here, this is the code here that I have run, and the code here on line 27, you can see here it gives me an empty dictionary. There's nothing inside because I've cleared the contents using the dot clear method. The final method I want to show you in this video is how to delete the dictionary completely, and you do that using the del method. So if I wanted to delete my dictionary, I just type in del followed by the name of my dictionary, which is called my car. All right, and now if I save this and run this print statement again, it should show me an error that does not exist. So I've got my file here in my command prompt. If I run that, you can see here it tells me here line 28, which is this line of code. It says name error, the name my car is not defined. That's because I have deleted the dictionary on line 27 using the del method. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.